Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to make a blouse with queen and neckline. I know this is something you would like to know more about. Please keep on watching and let's get started. If you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell so you'll get notified anytime I upload a new video. This blouse has a basque effect in front, but it is not a V-shaped basque, it is a round shaped basque. I'll be taking you through the process of turning your basic bodice pattern to a queen and neckline pattern. So get your pattern ready and let's get started. I have 1.5 yards of African print here, and you can use any fabric of your choice for this style. I'll also be making use of my lining here, and of course I'll be using a zip. I have the shoulder line, the chest line, the bust line, the under bust line, the waistline, and the full length of the top. Shoulder to the chest line is 8.5 inches, to the bust line is 11 inches, to the under bust line is 14 inches, to the waistline is 18 inches, and to the full length of the top is at 24 inches. I'll go in with the shoulder measurements divided by 2 plus 0.5 inch for seam allowance. I'll mark it on the shoulder line and also on the chest line, and I'll connect with a straight line. Next, I'll go in with the neck width and the neck depth. I'll use a neck depth of 3 inches and a neck width of 3.5 inches, and I'll connect with a curve. I'll come down by 1.5 inches for the shoulder slope, and I'll connect it with a straight line into the neck width. Next, I'll go in with the bust measurements divided by 4. From the chest line, I'll go up by 3 inches, and at the 3 inches mark, I'll come out by 0.75. I'll connect those 3 points together to form the armhole. On the waistline, I'll go in with the waist measurements divided by 4, and I'll add 1.5 inch for that allowance. At the full length, I'll go in with the hip measurements divided by 4, and I'll make a mark there. I'll connect all those points together with my curved ruler. The next thing is to mark the bust span measurements. The bust span measurements divided by 2. I'll mark it on the bust line, on the waistline, and at the full length line. The bust span measurement I'm working with is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And that is what I marked here, and I'll connect with a straight line. I added 1.5 inch allowance for that on the waistline. So at the waistline now, I'll come out by 0.75 on both sides of the dart leg, and I'll connect to the bust point like so, and I'll also connect to the full length line. The difference between the front and the back half length of the measurement I am working with is 3 inches. So from the bust line, come down by 3 inches, make a mark there and connect with a straight line to meet the bust point. This 3 inches is the difference between the front and the back half length, and that is what we are taking in as the bust dart. On the under bust line, I'll go ahead and tighten the under bust. Mark your round under bust measurements divided by 4, and whatever you have left from the point you marked, you are going to divide it in between the two sides. On the side facing the center front, I am going to put ½ inch, and I'm going to put 1 inch on the other side facing the side front. And I'll connect with a curve to the bust point and with a straight line to the full length line. The next step is to turn this pattern into a queen and neckline pattern. I am going to start from the neck width. I am going to extend the neck width by 1.5 inches. That is what I marked now, and from that point I am going to come down and mark 7.5 inches. I will use my curve to connect from the new neck width to the 7.5 inches point. Take note of the way I placed my curve. The curvy part is at the top, and I'm just going to connect like so. Now from the chest line, I'll come down by 1.5 inches. This part depends on how open you want the neckline to be. If you don't want to show any cleavage, you can decide to maintain the chest line. That means from the first line I came down by 7.5 inches, you are going to make yours like 5 inches. And then you connect from that 5 inches point to the chest line. That way you won't be showing any cleavage at all. Now that you have made some alteration to the neck width and the neckline, you have to tighten the neckline. If you don't tighten the neckline, you will notice gaping on the neckline by the time you finish stitching. That is what I'm trying to avoid here. So now I'll extend the nipple to nipple measurements to the top of this new neckline we have here. After extending the line, I'll come out by ½ inch on both sides of the dart leg. For instance, if you are working with a small measurement that is for a size 4 or a size 6, you can put 0.25 on the side facing the center front and ½ inch on the side facing the side front. But if the bust measurement you are working with is big, like 36, 38 and above, use ½ inch on both sides of the dart leg. The last thing for this front pattern is to mark out the basque effect in front. It is not a really obvious basque, it is just to give it that round effect in front. So now from the waistline, I'll come down by 4 inches and I'll connect with a curve to the center front. That is all on this front pattern. I'll cut it out now. I have the shoulder line, the chest line, the waistline, and the full length of the top. Shoulder to the chest line is 8.5 inches, to the waistline is 15 inches, and to the full length of the top is at 21 inches. I have a zip allowance of 1.5 inches by the side of my pattern. Now I'll go in with the shoulder measurements divided by 2 plus 0.5 inch for seam allowance. I'll mark it on the shoulder line and also on the chest line, and I'll connect with a straight line. Next, I'll go in with the neck width and the neck depth. I'll use a neck width of 3.5 inches and a neck depth of 1.5 inches, and I'll connect with a curve. I'll come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slant, and I'll connect with a straight line into the neck width. I'll mark the bust measurements divided by 4. I'll mark it on the chest line. From the shoulder slope, I'll divide what I have left into 2 and get the midpoint. At the midpoint, I'll go in by 0.5 and I'll connect those 3 points together to form the armhole. On the waistline, I'll mark the waist measurements divided by 4. I'll add 1 inch allowance for that, and at the full length line, I'll mark the hip measurements divided by 4, and I'll connect all the points together with my curved ruler. Here I'm just remarking the hip measurement because I realized that I didn't mark the correct hip measurement earlier, so I'm just remarking the hip measurements divided by 4, and I'll just connect it back with my curved ruler. Next, I'll go in with the bust span measurements divided by 2. That is the nipple to nipple measurement. I'll mark it on the waistline. I'll also mark it at the full length line, and at the chest line I'll come down by 1 inch. That is where I'm going to place the nipple to nipple measurement, and I'll connect with a straight line. I added 1 inch allowance to the waist measurement, so I'll go out by ½ inch on both sides of the dart leg, and I'll connect to the top and bottom like so. The same alteration we made to the front neckline. From the neck width, I'll mark 1.5 inches and reconnect the neck width. I'm just reconnecting it with my curve here, and that is what we have there. The next thing I'm going to do is to come down to the waistline and mark 4 inches, just the same thing we did to the front pattern, but the difference is that for the back, I'm going to mark it all the way up to the zipper allowance, and I'll connect with a straight line. This new line will be the full length of the top line. For this back pattern, I'll be making use of the neckline dart. From the width of the neckline, I'm just going to connect with a straight line to meet the dart line. And that is all for this back pattern. I'll cut it out now. I am going to place the front pattern and the back pattern together, just placing it on the table so that you can see all the patterns we have created so far. I am showing you the side front and the side back here. This is to cross-check your pattern after drafting. You have to cross-check your pattern after drafting so that if you need to make any changes to your pattern, you will do so before transferring to fabric. But so far so good, the pattern is fine. I'll go ahead now and transfer to fabric, and I'll bring it back and show you. I have transferred the back patterns to fabric here, and this is what we have. I added 1 inch for the hemming allowance, 1.5 inches to the side joining, and in between the joinings on the pattern I added ½ inch, and to the top I added ½ inch allowance. So go ahead and add all the necessary allowance to your pattern while transferring to fabric. I have also cut out my lining piece. Now I'll pin the fabric the same way I am going to stitch them. I'll pick one center back and one side back, right side facing each other, and I'm just going to pin it together and go ahead and stitch with ½ inch seam allowance. I'll do the same thing to my lining piece also. Pick one piece from the side back, one piece from the center back, and pin it together. Make sure that the right side is facing each other, and go ahead and stitch with ½ inch seam allowance. The same process I am following for the main fabric is what I'll be repeating also for the lining. These are my front pattern, and I have transferred to fabric also. I added 1 inch for the hemming allowance at the bottom, 1.5 inches for the side joining, and in between the pieces that will be joined together, I added ½ inch allowance. And at the top on the shoulder, I added ½ inch allowance also. I have cut out my lining piece here, and I'm just going to set the lining aside and open up the main fabric. I will place one piece of the side front on the center front, right side facing each other, and I'll pin it together. I'll do the same thing to the other piece of the side front. I'll place it on the other side of the center front, right side facing each other, and I'll go ahead and stitch with ½ inch seam allowance. After stitching the main fabric, I'll do the same thing to the lining piece also. This is after joining the back piece, and this is what we have. Now I have done the same thing to my lining here, and I'm going to place the lining on the main fabric, right side facing each other, and I'll go ahead and stitch around the neckline. I'll stitch the neckline, the center back, and the bottom of the top. I'll go ahead and stitch now, and I'll bring it back after stitching. For the front, this is what I have now. After stitching, I went ahead to press the seams flat. Please make sure to press the seam after stitching. For each step of the sewing process, you have to press the seams flat. Now I have done the same thing to my lining piece here, and I have placed my lining on the main fabric, right side facing each other, and I'll go ahead and stitch around the neckline and also at the bottom. This is the front piece and I am done stitching here. One tip guys, after stitching, while pressing the neckline and the bottom part of the top, you can add hemming gum to it. It helps the neckline to relax well. So you can add hemming gum to the bottom of the top also. These are the back pieces. I have also ironed it properly. Now I'm going to place the back on the front, right side facing each other, and I'll go ahead and stitch the sides with the allowance I left while transferring to pattern. I added 1.5 inches for the side allowance. I'm going to go ahead and join with the 1.5 inches, and for the shoulder I'm just going to go ahead and place it together like this. Make sure that the joining you have on the shoulder matches on both the front and the back. Pin it together and I'll go ahead and stitch with 1/2 inch seam allowance. I am done joining the sides together and I have also joined the shoulder together. I went ahead to finish the inside up with my overlocker. So now the next thing for me to do on this top is to fix in those sleeves. I have my basic sleeve pattern here. It is a short sleeve pattern. If you don't know how to draft a basic sleeve pattern, I'll put the link of the video on how to draft a basic sleeve pattern in the description box so that you can watch how I drafted my basic sleeve pattern. The length of this pattern is 10 inches because the sleeve is a short sleeve. Now I'll place the pattern on the fabric like so and pin it down. My fabric is folded into two. Please make sure that your fabric is also folded into two. To achieve that puff sleeve effect we have on the thumbnail, I will extend the cap of the sleeve by 4 inches. If you want your sleeve to be more puffy than what I have on the thumbnail, you can extend it by 6, 7 and above, depending on what you are looking to achieve. Extend the cap of the sleeve by 4 inches and connect with your free hand towards the bottom like so. I'll cut it out now. Note that this pattern I have here has allowance included in the pattern. In case your pattern does not have allowance included, you are going to add your allowance while transferring to fabric. After cutting the first sleeve, I will use this one to cut out the second sleeve. I'll separate the pattern from the fabric and open up the sleeve that we have cut out. You can decide to add lining to your sleeve, but for this project I won't be adding any lining to the sleeve. I'll go ahead now and fold the bottom of the sleeve twice. After folding, I'll join the side of the sleeve together. This is it here after joining the sides of the sleeve together. And now I went ahead to run a gather stitch at the top and I put the gathers to the top of the sleeve. I've done the same thing to the other sleeve, and the next thing is for me to attach it to the top. So just go ahead and fix your sleeve round the armhole. And the last but not the least for this top is to fix in my zip. I'll do that now and I'll show you the finished look of the top. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. Please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. Please turn on your notification bell so you get notified anytime I upload a new video. Please follow me on Instagram at Stitchedbyesthy. and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.